Hi, my name is Heather Lambert. I am a director in Augusta, Maine, and this is my submission for Spring Sprint. So when I first heard that my superstar director, Jen Audette, had suggested my name as a presenter at Spring Sprint, I was really surprised and especially honored. To think that somebody saw something in me special enough to share with all of you was amazing to me. And I'm no one special, really. I'm just a mom like many of you are. I'm a wife, a daughter, a sister. I was a teacher for a while and held a full-time job, just like many of you do. Thanks to Scentsy, though, I'm able to be a stay-at-home mom, like many of you. My to-do list is filled with household chores, errands, kids' activities, meetings, appointments, and of course Scentsy parties. I struggled just like all of you to find time for myself after taking care of kids, the husband, the pets, my team, and anybody else that comes along and needs my help. So what is so special about me? What could other consultants learn from me? Then I learned that we would have to videotape ourselves and submit a speech about one of the notes in Orville's speech. Eek! I have to admit, at first I thought, oh my gosh, no way, I can't do that. It was the video camera that freaked me out the most. But then I thought of that email from Jen Audette, and I couldn't let her down. I had to think more positively. She saw something in me, and I just had to figure out what that was. So I was determined to get something submitted. But what would I talk about? So I started to think about Orville's speech from convention. It really made me reflect on my business and evaluate how I was performing on each of the chords that he talked about. I used those chords to identify some weaknesses and areas that I needed to improve on and make stronger in my business. It was clear to me that to be successful, I needed to make those weak areas stronger. And in doing so, my business would be stronger too. So there it was. Chord number 4 was improving yourself and making weak things stronger. I have my topic of my speech. So despite my initial fears and insecurities about submitting a speech and speaking in front of all those people at Spring Sprint, I was determined to submit something I could be proud of. I knew that doing so would strengthen my confidence and as a result make me stronger in my business. So here I am. I have decided to share with you 3 things that I think are so very important to help you improve yourself and make your weak things strong so that you can realize lots of success in your business. The first thing that I learned very early in my business was the importance of staying positive, no matter what. I tell this story to my team all the time when they're getting started and experiencing a few bumps in the beginning. You see, when I first started Scentsy in January of 2011, I was so excited. I really wanted to help my family with a little bit of extra income. I was supporting my family of 4 on a teacher's salary, and my husband was a full-time student, so things were really tight. But we loved to go out and eat, so we needed some extra dough. Anyway, I planned my launch party, and it was going to be an open house, so I invited everyone that I knew, and I even walked up and down the street with invitations for every house. When the day came, I was so excited. I cleaned up, set up my warmers, had snacks out, I waited, and 0 people showed up for my open house. I was really, really disappointed. And at first I wondered if I'd made a huge mistake, if this was really going to work. But then, a couple of days later, I got an email. It was an email from a neighbor that had gotten one of my invitations but couldn't make it to my party. That email turned into one of my first parties, which then turned into more parties, which turned into more parties. You all know how it goes. It also eventually turned into a recruit, and those other parties turned into several more recruits. And before I knew it, just 14 months later, I had a team of 21 and I had promoted to director. I couldn't believe it. That team continues to grow, and I'm so proud of them all. It truly is the best part of my job, watching them be successful in their businesses. Anyway, I realized that even though that first party didn't go exactly the way that I had planned, I realized that even though that first party didn't go the way that I had hoped, there were more things coming. I couldn't get down about one party. I had to keep going because there were more people to meet and more parties to schedule. I vowed to maintain my positive attitude no matter what happened in my business. You cannot dwell on the negative. There's just too much opportunity out there. If a party cancels, celebrate, because it just gives you time to make some calls to that next rock star that's going to join your team and make everything wonderful. Or go out and book 2 parties instead of the one that canceled. Or connect with a team member that might need some of your positive energy of their own so that you both can be successful. A really positive attitude in spite of whatever happens in your business is crucial, and it will get you through the tough times. Until that, until the next big thing comes along. The second thing I would like to share with you that I think is so important is being reflective about your business. Reflecting on your own experiences will help you learn and identify those weaknesses that you need to work on. So after convention, I was so excited to kick off the fall-winter selling season. I had a very excited team. I had 7 parties on my calendar for September, and it was my first month that Scentsy was going to be supporting my family. You see, everyone else was going back to school in September, and I had resigned from my teaching job to stay home with my new baby and build my Scentsy business full-time. So I started making phone calls to confirm all those parties on my calendar, and one after another, postponed. Canceled. Baskets were coming back with no orders in them. My month was falling apart fast. It was one of those months that you just wish would end so you could start over all fresh again. Anybody had one of those months? Anyway, I was working really hard to stay positive and not giving up on my month because I now had a team and they were watching me and I needed to feed my family, so this had to work. So I got really creative. I scraped together some sales. I got a new recruit to sign up, and my team had their best month to date. It turned out to be pretty decent, and when it was all over, I had a chance to reflect back. I asked myself, how could this have gone smoother? Because it was very stressful. What could I have done differently to make the month better? It was so easy to blame the world and crazy hostesses and life's obstacles for the difficulties that we might encounter in our business, but I challenge you to really think back on the things that happened and ask yourself the tough questions. How could you have handled it differently? What weaknesses do you need to strengthen so that it goes better next time? For me, I realized that most of those parties had been booked a long time ago, and I needed to be better at coaching those hostesses. I needed to work more closely so that they were excited and could get their guests more excited, so that postponing or canceling would not be such an easy option. By reflecting on that very stressful month, I was able to identify my weakness and learn from it in hopes of improving my skills and growing my business in the future. The last thing I've learned since starting my Scentsy business is believing that anything is possible. Now, we hear that a lot, and I know a lot of people say that, but the trick is to truly believe it. Anything is possible. If you really want to be successful in this business, you have to dream big and really believe your heart that it's going to happen. Over the past 2 years with Scentsy, I've heard many very inspirational stories. Some unbelievable, some inspirational, some really exciting, some funny. The neat thing about all those stories is that they made me realize that all these amazingly successful people in Scentsy were just regular people, just like me. My kids go to karate, and the dojo has a saying that a black belt in karate is just a white belt that didn't quit. And that's the same with Scentsy. A superstar director is just an essential consultant who believed that they could be successful and didn't quit. I have a team member who's here, or will be at Spring Sprint. Her name is Joelle Drake, and I know Joelle from teaching before Scentsy. In fact, she was on the interview committee for my first teaching job, which is ironic, because a little over a year ago I found Joelle in the grocery store. We chatted for a bit, and wouldn't you know, she could use a little extra income. Couldn't we all? I told her about Scentsy and about my business and how it was going. She decided to join. So Joelle had never been to a Scentsy party. She had no idea what Scentsy was, but she joined anyway. You see, Joelle's one of those overachievers that has to do everything right now. And I can relate to Joelle, because I have to do everything right now, too. Anyway, I would go to her house when she first started and help her figure out this business, and we would talk about the potential and what could happen if we really grew our businesses. We were working so hard, but we would dream what all this work was going to get us. We always said to each other that one day people would be talking about us and telling our stories, the way we talk about and tell stories about Becca Levi and Jen Audette. One day we will have thousands of people on our team, and can you imagine what the commission check was going to be? We were so excited, but the thing is, we weren't just talking. Joelle and I, we truly believe that one day all of that will happen for us. And for many others on my team too, I know in my heart that if I keep working and making my weaknesses that I have stronger and help my team strengthen their weaknesses, that we will all be hugely successful in our business and in our lives. So I want to leave you with a quote that I came across a while ago that really spoke to me and is very relevant to this topic. Set a goal so big that you can't achieve it until you grow into the person that can. So big that you have to grow into that person who can achieve that big goal. Believe that big things can happen to you. Really big things. Don't be afraid to dream really, really big. Believe that those dreams are possible. Continuously reflect on your business to identify weaknesses that you can work on and stay positive, knowing that even if things don't go just right, there are great things waiting to happen just around the corner. As you continue to improve yourself and grow as a Cincy consultant and as a person, you will eventually be the person that will achieve those huge dreams. I know this is true because I have watched over the last 2 years my role model. I remember Melanie Hall at the first meeting I attended. She was a breath of fresh air, a bright spot in my day, fun, passionate, working her business with big goals in mind. Even back then, I wanted to be just like her. Over the years, as I have gotten to know Melanie, I've watched her become an amazing leader. I've watched her refine her ways, becoming more deliberate and thoughtful in her business. She gives great advice. And very thoughtful advice. She's strengthened her weaknesses, improved herself, and has grown to be the most amazing person. She's grown into the superstar director that she knew she could be. So I know it's possible. I'm working on growing into the superstar director I know I can be. And you all can too. Thank you.